And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the DoDcast Postgame Show. I'm back, District on Deck co-ed Ricky Keeler. This is my first one since last Tuesday, so I want to thank my fellow co-editor Ron Juckett for filling in. You've been hearing from him, Chris Lacey, and Drew Douglas the last few days, but I'm back, and the Nats decide when I come back, score a lot of runs, and that's what they did tonight. In the opening game of this 3-game series with the Seattle Mariners. They get the win 10-1 in the fastest game of the season, 2 hours and 28 minutes. And you got everything you could ask for from Joe Ross and then some. Making his return to the rotation, had a couple of starts down in Syracuse, 3 to be exact. Looked better his last 2 outings in AAA, so the Nats decided to give him another opportunity. And while there is still a little bit of questions surrounding that start tonight, you saw a much different pitcher today, similar to the poise he showed when he came up, and I think that's the most important thing to take away from this game. Seattle's scuffling right now. They're not scoring a lot of runs. Their pitching's been a mess, so this is kind of the perfect opponent for the Nationals to sort of get back in the swing of things here. But nevertheless, that's a good lineup when you've got Segura, Cano, Cruz, Seager. They have some good hitters there. So for Joe Ross to shut that lineup down, definitely impressive. Another great night for Anthony Rendon, and everybody got a hit tonight on offense. So we got a lot to get through tonight, so we want to hear from you. Feel free to send me a question in the chat room. Happy to answer those here on the YouTube page. You could also tweet me on Twitter at Rickinator555 or at District on Deck. Let's run through the totals, as Ron likes to do, so I'll do the same thing. Nationals, 10 runs, 15 hits, no errors. Seattle, 1 run on 5 hits, no errors. Joe Ross gets the win. He goes to 2-0 and a 5.32 ERA. Christian Bergman, the loss. And it was kind of surprising Scott Service left him out there so long. 4 innings, 10 runs, 14 hits, no strikeouts, and 2 walks. And not a good night at all for Bergman, but Seattle had a series against the White Sox over the weekend. They were outscored 26-3. So Service is trying to do everything he can to get at least 5 innings out of Bergman. He couldn't even get that. But give credit to Emilio Pagan. 4 innings, 1 hit, 4 strikeouts to the bullpen. So the Mariners, their bullpens kind of got the night off outside of Pagan. And the Nats kind of did the same thing. Matt Grace threw a 1-2-3 9th inning. So you think about the last couple of days, the only 4 pitchers that were used were Steven Strasburg, Coda Glover, Joe Ross, and Matt Grace. So they've got Romero ready, Kelly ready, Trinan ready, Perez ready. So while you might not like a lot of those guys in the bullpen, they've had at least 3 days off, a lot of them, that they'll be fresh and ready to go when needed at some point this week. The storyline, of course, is Joe Ross tonight, and for good reason. When you look at his outing tonight, he started off this game in cruise control, 94 miles an hour on his fastball at times early in this game. Got a couple of key double plays, including right out of the gate in the first inning. Gene Segura gets a base hit, and you'll see him on base a lot this week. Last year against the Nationals, he had 20 combined hits, and you'll find that in my 5 to watch. If you didn't read it this morning, go to District on Deck, and you'll see some similar stats. They do a hit and run with Ben Gamble, and Gamble hits it right to Trey Turner on the second base bag and gets a double play out of it. Ross got another double play later in the game in the 5th inning, and after that, it was just he never really had a stressful inning in this game. And that's something to take note of, because as the game went on, the velocity sort of went down a little bit, was barely touching 90. So that's a little bit of a concern that he's sort of tiring out at that point, but to give him credit, he strikes out the side in the 8th inning. And this team scores a lot of runs for Joe Ross. This is courtesy of the Elias Sports Bureau. The Nats' 62 runs of support in Joe Ross's 4 starts this year is a record for a pitcher making his first 4 starts of the season. Every time Joe Ross starts, the Nats score 10 runs. And you wonder if you think about Max Scherzer, wonders where's the runs for me? Steven Strasburg, where's the runs for me? Joe Ross gets them, and at least he took advantage of it. Even when Mike Zunino hit the home run that got the Mariners on the board in the 6th inning, I'd rather you do that than walk the leadoff guy. Like, throw the ball down the plate. If Zunino hits it, good for him. So I had no problem with that. And the one thing you love about tonight, the ground ball outs. Joe Ross had 10 of them in this game. 101 pitches, 68 strikes. When Ross is getting those ground ball outs with his slider, and his changeup, that's when he's at his best. He had a start last year. He had 15 of them. It was a loss against Cincinnati, but usually when you see him about 10 to 12 ground ball outs, he's going to be at his best. And I think as the night went on, there's, again, still questions with the velocity. You wonder with that arm slot, does that sort of change things as the game goes on? It looked like he corrected it and then struggled with it, so it's going to be an ongoing process. The important thing is the Nationals need Joe Ross to be in that 5 spot and pitching well. They don't need him to go out there and throw 8 innings of 1-run ball, though they'll take that every night. Just go out there and give a quality outing and keep the team in the game, because with this offense, when it's hitting like this, any pitcher can win a ball game. You even had Trey Turner get back on track tonight. He had a couple of hits. It started off in the second inning. Anthony Rendon hit a towering shot to left field, and it was really surprising because if you were at the ballpark tonight or you're watching it on Masson, there's a lot of nasty rain there at the park tonight. Rendon hit that, I think it's like a 45-degree launch angle. If you're into the exit velo and all those fun stats, it just was a towering pop-up that got over the wall. So Rendon gets on the board with his first of 2 home runs. And then the 4th inning, and this is where everything goes awry for Christian Bregman, or Bergman, I should say. Rendon led off with a double. He had 2 hits in the inning, by the way. Matt Wieters an RBI single. Taylor picks with a single. I was kind of surprised Joe Ross swung the bat in that situation. 2 on, nobody out. But he did have a hit earlier in the game, so you can understand that. He draws down a bunt. I mean, this doesn't draw down the bunt. He grounds out to short, gets a double play. But Trey Turner gets a triple. And I talked about it again in my 5 to watch. Keep an eye on Nelson Cruz this week. He's going to take some weird routes to the baseball. He doesn't play right field that much anymore. Ask Texas Ranger fans how Nelson Cruz plays right field. Turner picks up an RBI triple, gets another run on the board. Jason Worth, a 2-run homer over the net, over the bullpen in left field. And then Bryce Harper follows it up with a towering 450-foot shot to dead center. He now has 14 home runs this year. And then 3 batters later, Rendon does it again. He goes dead center. His second of the night. He finishes with 5 RBIs on the game. You can make a case if you want to play nitpicking, and the Nats didn't really do much over the last 4 innings. But again, you've got a 10-0 lead or 10-1 lead at that point. I'm not exactly looking to you getting 15, 16. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. It's not something I would really nitpick over. But Rendon, 5 RBIs tonight. I think he's the star of the game. Ryan Zimmerman went 3 for 4. He was about a couple inches away late in the game from being 4 for 4 with a home run. His average up to 372. Harper with the home run now hitting 346. Murphy 1 for 4, hitting 325. But again, I think Trey Turner is huge. He's been struggling to get on base. Got a triple and a base hit tonight. Got that average up to 241. They need him to get going just to get on base and steal some bases. I mean, that's really why you haven't seen much from Trey Turner this year, because, and Dusty kind of alluded to, if you're following the beat writers on Twitter, one of the quotes he said was Trey Turner has to adjust to the pitchers. It's a second-year thing. I mean, this is why I know people got mad at me when I wrote about in the offseason when MLB Network did their top 10 shortstops right now, and Trey Turner was number 4, and I said they overrated him. I just thought that you need a little bit more of a track record than less than a year of baseball. He's still a really good player, but there are going to be times he struggles. Sometimes he gets too aggressive, as Ron points out a lot. But to get 2 hits, maybe this gets him going. And I think that was important. That triple, even he had a base hit where Matt Wieters got thrown out the plate, so he could have had another RBI. But I think you take the good with the bad there. At least you're happy that Trey Turner got the base hit, and Dyson made a good throw to get Wieters at the plate, even though you could make the case Wieters should have been on third in that situation. Another 2-hit night for Michael Taylor as well. So everybody getting involved tonight. Everybody gets a hit. When everybody gets a hit, everybody's happy. I think that's the most important thing. Matt Wieters also gets the hit streak to 10 games. So he's hitting the ball well this month. That's something that you love to see. He saw 20 pitches. The only player who saw more pitches, according to ESPN. Jason Worth saw 21. Wieters saw 20. And right now he's hitting 255 in May with 4 RBIs. So while the average may be a little bit low, he always seems to find a way to get his hit every game. And that's a good thing. When Wieters and Taylor are hitting at the bottom of the order, that only makes this lineup deeper. So we'll see what Joe Ross does next time against San Diego, but I would guarantee the Nationals, I'm not going to say that they might, you could probably put a 9-10 spot, and trust me, if you watch the Padres tonight, you might think the same thing. Facing teams like Seattle and San Diego, the perfect opportunity to get some wins on your belt and go out on the West Coast for that long road trip to San Francisco, to Oakland, and to LA to take on the Dodgers. So the Nats go to 27-17 with the win. Seattle drops to 20-26. They're way behind the Astros right now in the standings. Right now, the Nats are 7 games ahead of the Atlanta Braves. Braves are in progress right now, taking on the Pittsburgh Pirates. And that game in a rain delay out in SunTrust Park. Pirates with a 3-2 lead in the bottom of the 6th inning. RBIs in this game from Jordy Mercer, a solo shot. Josh Bell with his 20th RBI. The Braves, Matt Adams, a solo shot off of Tyler Glasnow in the 6th. Kurt Suzuki has the other RBI. So 3-2 in that one. Phillies getting shelled at home against Colorado, 8-2. Rockies, I think, on the verge of their 30th win. They've had a really impressive season. Andrew Knapp with a solo shot in the 9th for Philadelphia. And for the Rockies, Charlie Blackmon, 2 home runs in this game off of Zach Eflin. Gerardo Parra added a home run. Blackmon's up to 40 runs batted in this year. So Colorado about to take the first 2 from Philadelphia. And out in Citi Field, the Mets get the win, or not get the win, they're about to win. 9-3, top of the 8th against the San Diego Padres. Mets scored 7 runs in the bottom of the 1st inning. Michael Conforto, 2 home runs on the night. He's up to 13 on the season. He's 3 for 4 today. Matt Harvey looks like he's going to get the win. Not his best performance. 6 strikeouts, 4 walks, but he gave up only 2 runs for 5 innings, and that's the most important. So the Mets look like they're going to get a win against San Diego and Miami coming up in 15 minutes to take on the A's. Jose Urena against Jesse Hahn out in Oakland. Marlins been really bad, 15-28 on the season. So Miami will stay in Oakland for a couple days after a rough series in Los Angeles. I don't see any questions here. So while we're at it, let's get into some minor leagues and a couple of rain delays, postponements tonight. Potomac rained out against Frederick, and Hagerstown rained out against Delmarva. So a couple of double headers tomorrow. So Ron will have you covered on those games. He's going to be doing the post game tomorrow with Chris Lacey. But let's tell you about the 2 games that did happen tonight. Let's start in AAA. Syracuse taking on Charlotte, which is the White Sox affiliate. So you'll see a lot of Nats White Sox comparisons, I'm sure, over the next couple of days there. But the Chiefs get the win, 6-2. Nice win over Carson Fulmer, who's one of the White Sox top pitching prospects. Clint Robinson, great night for him, 2 for 4, pair of home runs, 4 RBIs, both 2-run shots. Pedro Severino went back-to-back with him in the 6th. Brandon Snyder tacked on a home run. So all 6 runs via the long ball for the Chiefs. His best game of the season in AAA. 7 innings, 1 run, 5 hits, 4 strikeouts, 2 walks. 55 of 95 pitches for strikes. So Greg Ross back on track. Good friend of the show. We had him on the DoDcast beginning of the season. Good to see him get those positive numbers in AAA. So the Chiefs go to 14-26. And out in Erie, the Seawolves defeated Harrisburg 2-1, a walk-off single by A.J. Sincox in the bottom of the 9th after the Senators rallied in the top of the 9th to tie it on an RBI single by Alec Keller. But not enough tonight. Senators dropped to 19-24. Good performance by Derek Eitel, who got the start tonight. 5 innings, 1 run, 5 hits, 5 strikeouts, and 2 walks, and 88 pitches. A couple multi-hit nights for Keller and Yadier Hernandez. Jose Marmolejos, he continues to hit the ball well, 1 for 3, average up to 381. And since we only have 2 games tonight, I want to tell you something great I was watching last night. I was watching, since the Nats have the night off, I have the MILB package. So I'm watching Harrisburg, take on Erie. Tonight you saw that Erie won 2-1. They had a much more offensive game last night. 13-10. Erie's got the lead. Bases loaded, 2 outs, and Marmolejos hits a go-ahead grand slam with 1 strike, down to his last strike. He went 5 for 6 last night, 5 RBIs. Just an impressive performance, and people forgot about Marmolejos because of the injury, But this guy, he just puts up consistent numbers at first base, and that just brings good depth to an organization when you can have a guy put up those kind of numbers. 3 runs scored, home run, 5 driven in. You love to see that. And I think people forgot about him with the injury on a rehab assignment right now with the Senators, and he's doing a nice job. And that's really all you can ask of him. So I think when you look at their middle of the order, Drew Ward has hit the ball well in May. Vitaly Soto, the same thing. So you love to see what's happening with the Nats farm teams. Hagerstown's hitting the ball well. I had an interview go up with Taylor Gashew, the Potomac catcher, who's got 12 home runs on the season. You definitely think you should check out this interview. He talks about the differences between hitting in Florida State League compared to the Carolina League, which he's been in high A for the last couple of years. Talks about learning a pitching staff. Talks about his trade experience. Remember, he got traded in late September last year for Chris Bostic, who got called up by the Pirates earlier this year. That's a rare late September trade you don't see very often. And Gashew sort of talks about it a little bit and kind of the unique circumstances of what he had to do when he heard about the trade. So you'll find out a lot about that in our DoDcast interviews, which you'll find on our YouTube page. So feel free to check those out. Not seeing any questions from you tonight, but that's okay. Just to wrap up the night here, Joe Ross, another excellent outing. First excellent outing of the season. And hopefully he builds on it. I think you want to see that velocity continue to stay consistent as the starts go on. But if the changeup is working, if the slider is working, I think you absolutely take it and you run with it, because that only makes this rotation that much better. Take a look at the matchup tomorrow night. It's a 7:05 Eastern first pitch. Catch the game on Masson or 106.7 The Fan if you'd like to listen to Charlie and Dave on the radio. Sam Gaviglio gets the start for Seattle, 1.29 ERA. He'll make his second start of his career against Tanner Roark for the Nats. Roark 3-2 with a 4.73 ERA. And the one thing you want to see with Roark, and I wrote about that in my 5 to watch as well, got to get that pitch count down. I mean, one of the problems that you see from Roark is he tries to get that fastball in for strikes, and he doesn't get the calls, and he keeps going back to it. I mean, at some point, you got to stick with what's working, adjust to the strike zone, and get that pitch count down. Had a rough outing against Pittsburgh last Thursday. Seattle's got a really tough lineup, as we talked about, at least the top of the order. When you look at Segura, Gamble, I think has hit the ball well since this season, since being called up. You've got Cano, you've got Cruz, you've got Seager. It's a good 1 through 5. The bottom of the order, a little bit of question marks, but you love their top of the order. But the Mariners are scuffling right now. Scored 4 runs in the last 4 games. So maybe this is the perfect opponent for Tanner Roark to go after and be aggressive, get those ground ball outs like Joe Ross did tonight, and get him back on track. Because one of the things he does is he gets ahead of hitters and just doesn't know how to finish them off. And that's a problem for him. So if Roark can build on that, get a quality start, maybe they say it's more of the bullpen, the Nats can find a way to win a series here. Something they haven't done since a couple weeks ago. Now, they haven't been swept all year, and I think that's a great accomplishment to get to late May and you haven't been swept in any series. I mean, you take that any day of the week. But you get a win here, you want to build on that. You want to put some wins together and so get back that gap in this division. Right now, it's at 7 over Atlanta, depending on how the Braves finish that game tonight against the Pirates, and we'll see how that game turns out tomorrow. So it'll be Gaviglio against Roark. We'll see how the Nationals offense adjusts to Gaviglio and starts to learn from him each time through the order. Only Gaviglio's second start. No Felix, no Paxton, no Iwakuma, no Smiley. That's how banged up this Mariners rotation is. It'll be Gio against Ariel Miranda on Thursday afternoon at 4:05, and I'll be with you for that. And Chris will join me on the DoDcast postgame on Thursday. Chris will join Ron on the DoDcast on Wednesday night. Also, interesting thing tomorrow night. I won't be around a lot to give updates. I'll try to, as best as I can with Ron on the Twitter. But a fun night tomorrow night in the minors, and I'll tell you why. Tomorrow night, 7:05 Eastern first pitch. If you have MILB.TV, you can watch it. Austin Vogt starts for Syracuse against Lucas Giolito's pitching tomorrow night for Charlotte. And been a rough season for Giolito. 1-5 with a 6.41 ERA. He just got a first win a couple of starts ago. He's pitching better, but only 40 strikeouts in 39 and a third innings. He's had a rough go of it. Ronaldo Lopez has been better. But again, you look back at that trade, Giolito's dropping in the prospect rankings. Lopez has dropped as well. So even though Eaton's out, the prospects you gave away aren't exactly having the best starts of it in Charlotte. So you got Giolito, you got Lopez. I think it's going to be interesting to watch this game tomorrow night. I'm going to watch a little bit of it, hopefully. So vote against Giolito tomorrow night. And that should be a lot of fun in Charlotte while the Nats, the big club, is taking on the Mariners. Here's what we got up on the site right now. Again, you got my 5 to watch, and Ron's going to have a couple articles tomorrow on Joe Ross. Also on, I think, on Matt Wieters. So you want to check those out. Drew Douglas was back today, and he wrote an article about Trevor Gott, who's having a good month of May for Syracuse in the bullpen. When might he get a call-up? Gott, of course, was traded for Yunel Escobar a couple of years ago. It's kind of been disappointing that he has not been more in the major league bullpen. He was up last year in September, but I think the Nats expect a little bit more from him. But he has come out. He's thrown the ball well in May. And again, when you look at this bullpen, if the guys keep struggling, they're going to have to go to the minors eventually, and Gott might be that guy. So Drew has his article on Gott and when you might see him and how he's been used by Billy Gardner Jr. and that Syracuse coaching staff. Remember, we also had Player of the Week, which Drew did as well. Michael Taylor got it this past week. We also have draft profiles coming up. I'm going to work on another one this week. I wrote one on Keston Hiura for UC Irvine, one of the best bats in the first round. So if the Nats want to go offense at 25th pick, Hiura could be that guy. If he can play some defense and play second base, he might move up the system faster. So Hiura could be a pick. I wrote about Alex Lang a few weeks ago. The draft will take place on June 12th, so just a few weeks away from that. And we'll have you covered with the draft here, but I will have another draft profile later this week. Also, if you missed any of our prospect interviews, go to our DoDcast page here on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. You'll see all of those there. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at District on Deck. Follow me on Twitter at Rickinator555. So again, Nationals get the win tonight, 10-1, and they start off the series against the Mariners with a resounding blowout win. And Ron will be back with you on Twitter tomorrow, and Ron and Chris will be here on the DoDcast for the postgame with Roark and Gaviglio, your pitching matchup. So until then, this has been co-editor Ricky Keeler, and for all of us in the District on Deck team, have a great night, and Ron and Chris will see you back here tomorrow night.